Crunch Time brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. It keeps getting worse. We'll get to that coming up top of the hour. The latest updates are just better and better. The story that will not die, and I want to talk about it coming up at 8 o'clock. David Sampson was our guest, former president of the Marlins. And a lot of interesting things there just in terms of the jock tax that the Portland Diamond Project is trying to get passed. I read an article yesterday. I think it was the Senate leader who is a Democrat and the Republican leader. They co-authored a article for the Oregonian the other day about essentially this is a home run. It's going to bring business. It's going to bring revenues. It's going to bring people coming to visit. It's going to be awesome for the state. And I thought it was a good spin on both their parts about how it's not just going to impact Portland. It'll impact people. Hey, let's go to a game in Portland, and then maybe we'll spend a weekend in Bend, or maybe we'll go to the Oregon coast, or you're not just going to fly in for a baseball game. There's more things that you can do while you're there. So I thought it was a smart op-ed and a good selling point. But the thing that he said there about the cities lining up and then figuring out the expansion fee and package that it will take and the amount of public money that comes with that and who can essentially pay the most, that was the most alarming thing I thought of the entire interview.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Because you have no faith?
I just don't know. I mean, the $800 million is great. They keep saying, I mean, until we get an indication of where exactly the money is coming from and how much money they actually have and how much they're putting up, it's hard. That part of it is always going to be hard. When you compare yourself to a Salt Lake City who will do whatever it takes from a public financing standpoint in order to get a Major League Baseball
But they just
team.
got the Mammoths.
They did.
Right? It was year one in Utah for the hockey club. They care about pro sports. Now, what I would say, though, is on the other side of that, the PDX Diamond Project has claimed the obvious upfront money is privately funded.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think anybody listening to that interview or this conversation that's a sports fan thought, yeah, Portland's not going to spend any money at all.
Yeah, of course there's infrastructure dollars that it will cost and all that kind of stuff.
It's more of a matter of, are we connecting? See, I think this is really the story of the situation outside of like what the timetable of all this is, because God knows what the A's are. God knows what's happening with the Rays.
I mean, they're dumpster fires and they have been for 25 years.
Are we breaking through to the non-us of our cities? I don't need to convince you. You are, I mean, I would say you and I largely have been lockstep as show hosts of don't give ownership money, like make them pay for it type people. And I think we're so desperate to get another sports team in this city that we're almost flipping our sports morals just to have another team. And so I think listeners and you and I, we don't need to be convinced that we want baseball. It's kind of a weird, it becomes an echo chamber at that point of like, of course, who's listening that's anti having another pro sports team here? They wouldn't be listening. Are you reaching the other people? The majority of the people. This is not a passionate, diehard sports city the way other markets are. There are Timbers fans, yes. There are Blazer fans, yes. There's absolutely crossover with those two brands. Thorns fans, yes. There's crossover. But I think the majority is hiking, granola, you know what I mean? Festivals.
A little bit different, yeah.
Not the diehard sports person.
Yeah.
So are you reaching those people? Are you getting those people on board? Because to me, I think that's the bigger position right now.
Yeah, to see what kind of support that has publicly. I don't believe it's gone up for a vote in the House yet, in the State House. I know it passed the Senate overwhelmingly, and it should pass the House. But that will be the next step. And then once at that point, you're going to have the $800 million in order to spend, and you can go to Major League Baseball for that. Doesn't seem like there's wide support in terms of at least the politicians, but in terms of the general population, I'm not 100% sure. I do also love, like, he's not wrong in terms of the ownership stuff where if you're absent or not a public figure, you're going to get criticized, and if you're all in and making rash decisions and meddling, you will get criticized. I would take Matt Ishbia over Jody Allen any day of the week because I know where he stands. I know he's going to do everything in his power and his will in order to try and win. It's not easy to win. I think we all acknowledge winning a championship is a very difficult thing, especially in the NBA, when one or two players can dictate the course of an entire roster or an entire season. But knowing where you stand and knowing that the ultimate goal is always to succeed at the highest level is something that I'm willing to ride or die with, more so than I would not knowing where people stand, not knowing what they sound like, not knowing what the ultimate goal is, when there does appear to be on the outside looking in it's just a business. We're trying to make some money, which of course it is. You're an owner. You want to make money. I understand that. But with Ishbia, there's zero doubt that guy's going to do whatever it takes to win. Might not do it, but I know he's going to constantly try.